When it comes to writing an offer, there are 17 things you should know. Stick with me for the next 8 minutes, and I'm going to go over the 17 things that can make or break your offer in North Carolina. And for watching my video, drop me a note and I'll send you my area guide, complete with property taxes, info about schools, and everything else you need to know about every town in the area. If we haven't met, my name is Sean Herndon, and I've helped buyers transact millions of dollars all around Lake Norman and Charlotte. I offer my buyers a deep market expertise and tailored advice, along with a unique approach to sourcing and negotiating deals that save my clients an additional 4.1% off the price of their home compared to average agents. When it comes to writing an offer, there's a few components that are pretty obvious. Your offer price, for example. But it's really important to understand the North Carolina offer to purchase so that you can maximize your chances at winning the home of your dreams on the best possible terms for you. So first, a few things to know. 1, the North Carolina contract doesn't have contingencies like other states, meaning that once an offer is accepted by both parties, you are under contract. You, as the buyer, can terminate the contract. You will forfeit your due diligence and possibly your earnest money, except for extreme circumstances. This can be a big difference for out-of-state buyers who might be used to having the right to terminate without losing their money. 2, when you make an offer, you will likely include a due diligence fee as well as an earnest money deposit. These amounts are completely negotiable, and I talk about this in my other videos. But the important thing to understand is that your due diligence fee is payable to the seller when the offer is accepted. You get it credited to you at closing, but if you don't purchase the house, you forfeit this money. Your earnest money is typically refunded during your due diligence period. But if you wait until after your due diligence deadline ends, the money is also forfeited if you don't purchase the home. 3, it's important to know that your due diligence is due when the offer is accepted. So even if you change your mind 5 minutes after the seller signs your offer and communicates acceptance, you still owe that money. 4, in North Carolina, real estate transactions must be closed by a real estate attorney. As the buyer, that attorney represents you. 5, in your offer, the parties will agree upon a settlement date or a closing date. It's important to consider this date carefully, because while the contract does allow you to push closing up to 7 days without the seller's consent, if you still can't close and the seller doesn't agree to amend the settlement date, then you are in breach of the contract and your monies are at risk of forfeit. 6, it's really important to understand the difference between fixtures and personal property. The offer lists all the fixtures that are standard, but sometimes sellers will exclude certain items, and you want to make sure your agent is writing in personal property. Refrigerators are a very common example of personal property. 7, when it comes to personal property, you want to keep those items incidental to the property. So if you are planning to purchase a home full of furniture, then we'd want to write that as a separate bill of sale, which could be a minimum value. This keeps the personal items outside of the real property being conveyed. 8, North Carolina is an as-is state. The seller is not required to make any repairs you request during the due diligence. Now, sellers also have an obligation to disclose material facts. So if you uncover items during inspection, the seller will either need to fix or disclose if the deal terminates. When making a repair request during due diligence, it's normally in your favor to provide quality estimates and documentation to support your request. I'm typically a fan of a repair credit, subject to the loan requirements. If you have the seller make repairs as part of your due diligence request, you might want to consider having your inspector come back out and verify the quality of the repair. 9, your financing's not a contingency. There is a required disclosure in the offer. So, as an example, if you have a home that needs to sell for you to qualify for a loan, that's a required disclosure. However, that does not mean your offer is contingent. You will lose your due diligence if you can't fulfill the contract as written. 10. The seller is required to complete certain property disclosures. For resale, sellers must complete a residential property disclosure, a mineral oil gas disclosure, and depending on the age of the house, a lead-based paint disclosure. If you don't have these at the time of offer, you do have some termination rights. However, your agent will typically obtain and send these disclosures to you for review before you make an offer. You want to take your time reviewing these disclosures. Ideally, the seller will provide you with insight about the age of the roof, plumbing conditions, and other key items. 11. Buyers can exit the North Carolina contract at any time, even at the closing table, and your losses are limited to your due diligence, your earnest money, plus you'll be out of pocket of costs like inspections and appraisals. Sellers don't have a right to terminate, so you can ask for all the repairs you want. They can say no, but they still have to honor the contract, meaning they can't terminate on you. If a seller changes their mind, you can actually sue them for a specific performance. 12. Keep in mind that an offer isn't binding until it's reduced to writing and accepted and communicated by the parties. This means that you don't want to be, just lobbing out bunches of offers out there for more than one house, because once the offer is accepted and communicated, now you owe the due diligence fee on those accepted communicated offers. 13. You can ask for settlement credits, closing cost credits. This can be a great option for managing the amount of cash you need to bring to the closing. Just make sure you check with your lender so that you are within the lender's requirements. 14. Don't be shy about attorney-drafted addendums. Working with us, we ask our real estate attorney to write custom addendums pretty often based on the situation. Now, there's not a cost to have an addendum drafted, and it can be important in terms of protecting you in the deal. 15. Use your terms: due diligence, earnest money, settlement date, closing costs as examples to help negotiate your purchase price. 16. Make sure your financing is solid. Remember, there's no contingencies. 17. Don't stress about being an expert. Hire an expert. You don't have to know everything about the contract. That's the role of your real estate agent and closing attorney. If you'd like to discuss specific questions about your next purchase, schedule a quick chat by using a link below or shoot me a text or email.